Bonjour tout le monde à Paris. It's wonderful to be here with you. This is a picture of me when I was dancing at the Moulin Rouge, back in the dark ages when I had some hair, and also I was flexible enough to do the can-can twice a night. I would start my performances at 10 p.m. and finish at 2 a.m. in the morning. It is certainly no mean feat to be able to warm up and to stretch so that you can be flexible at 1:45 in the morning to do the can-can. But you may be asking, why the Moulin Rouge? Back before I came to the Moulin Rouge, I was in New York studying dance at a contemporary dance company called the Alvin Ailey Company. And contemporary dancers, a lot of the time, if you're not in a big company, you do not get a lot of stage time. As we all know, practice and stage time is extremely important for speakers as well. But I wanted to find out how I could do this. And so what I did was I asked for a few people as to where could I go. And they said Vegas, or they said Paris. And I said, oh, well, Vegas, Paris, Vegas, Paris. It's really a no-brainer for me. Why not go to the heart of cabaret? And the heart of cabaret is Paris. So what I would do is I would spend my time warming up in the morning. And then I would also warm up in the evening just before the show. And I would think about rehearsing, and I would think about my performance, and I would go through it while the other guys were just putting on their makeup and talking in the change room. What this would do is that I would develop that consistency, and that was what's very important to me. But one of the other things that happened is that with this consistency, you get very stagnant, because a lot of the guys, all they would do for the years they were there, they would just go on just like a regular job as if it was a treadmill. But I didn't want that. I wanted to find something else. I asked people in New York, before I went to Paris, I asked them, what do you do when you are on Broadway? And they said, well, we look and we find something new in every performance. Let me say that again. We find something new in every performance. And that is what we as speakers need to do, to consciously set an intention to find something new in every performance. So what does that mean? That means finding something in the way you look. It means the way your tonality of your voice. It may look in also the way that you are creating your script. It can be a variety of things. But it's important to find something new so you stay fresh. So exactly what have I done now? I decided for this video I wanted to do something new, and I didn't want to sit in front of my computer, so I came to the Parque dos Poetas. The Parque dos Poetas. So these are poets here in Lisbon. And in Portugal, there was a history from the 12th century to the current century. These are who are the poets, and this park is dedicated to them. Now, poets are like speakers. They're always finding something new to speak about, but they're also something to write about. We are the people speakers of the people of the word, the color of the word, the tonality. We're always shifting and changing people's impressions. So that is finding something new. This is one of the paths I want to suggest for you. If you're going to move on in your speaking, is set an intention to consciously understand and know what it is that you want to create new in every performance. And what I would invite you to do is, in fact, write down on a piece of paper for your next performance, what are you going to find new in your performance? Now, let us move on. We're going to continue this journey of discovery into finding out what can help you move on in your performance in speaking. See you later. Back in 2017, I started to write my book, The Nomadic Mindset Never Settle for Too Long. And while I was doing that, I was doing research. And the research I was doing was in Mongolia with nomadic cultures, as well as in Kenya and Morocco. And then of recent, just before COVID, I was in Namibia. Now let me share with you a story which I think is actually quite interesting. Is that when I was in Namibia, I went on a safari with my guide and my photographer. We went to Etosha Park, and my guide stopped and he said, look over there behind those bushes, really dense bushes and some trees. And he said, you'll see a family of steenbok. Now steenbok are these beautiful deer-like creatures. They're beautiful and they're very gentle and graceful. I could not see them. And so I asked him again, where are you actually looking at them? And he pointed, and I looked over his hand, and I still couldn't see them. I got incredibly frustrated. And in that frustration, I asked him, I said, what is it that you're looking at and that I cannot see? And he says, I look for what doesn't fit in the picture. Now let me say that again. I look for what doesn't fit in the picture. So what does this mean? In many ways, this is looking for the unknown. We are looking at a perspective. We see our own perspective of a vision of our audience, of our clients, of our content as speakers. But that's our perspective. It's not other people's perspective. We need to look, if we're going to find something new, as I talked about before, and to find what doesn't fit in the picture currently. So in other words, looking for the unknown, looking for the unobvious, looking for being a little bit uncomfortable, which COVID has shared with us that we have been. But let me share with you a story about what this can clarify, hopefully, a little bit more. When I was doing work with Holiday on Ice, Holiday on Ice is a very big show, and I was directing and choreographing a big, large show, and I had meetings with the producers, and the producers said, we want to have what we've had over the last 70 years, the glitz and the glam and the girls and all of this beauty. And I said to them, but what else? He says, oh no, our public, we know our audience. They want this. Then we just give them that glitz. And I said, well, your audience doesn't know what it doesn't know. We as speakers realize that we have to guide and to teach and to inspire and motivate our clients. But by doing that, it's not about giving them everything they know. It is about helping them to move on in what they are thinking. So that is looking for what doesn't fit in the picture. What doesn't fit in the picture of the knowledge and the inspiration and the clarity that you would like to give to them, your audience and your clients. You can give them a lot of stuff they already know, but what they don't know, what they don't see. So you start to shift their perspective and they experience something very different. We will move on to the next step and the next path in a moment. See you second. I told you that I was writing my book, The Nomadic Mindset Never Settled for Too Long. My mentor for this project I had was Frederick Herron, and many of you know of this professional speaker who is an amazing fellow, and he is the creativity explorer. And he became very interested in the subject, and he develops an inner theme. I'm not sure if you know about that. An inner theme and help you to find what is a new speech for yourself. Anyway, what he does, he starts to ask you a variety of questions. So I was listening and finding something. I wanted to find something new, fresh, just as I've been talking about in my speeches, but also a new subject matter. And what he said was, I'm very interested in what you say you're a global nomad. What does this mean? And so he does this one thing where he looks at the origins of words. He looks at nomad. He said, I want to find out what it really means. And so we did this discovery, and he looked at it, and we did an inner theme session, and we decided that this was what I was going to speak about. And so we went off to start my research, and we went to Mongolia. Now, going to Mongolia was a very interesting time because I was in October 2017, I went to Mongolia with him, and the chill of winter was in the air. We were in Ulaanbaatar. And we were to go to the place called the Blue Sky Hotel and Lounge. And there we were to meet Batgirl Bat. Batgirl Bat was, at that point in time, the head of the Branding Council of Mongolia. And I wanted to find out from her. When I arrived, I leaned into her and I said, what is the true meaning of nomad? Now, let's just back up for a second. I'll just back up and I'll just say, what is she like, Batgirl? Batgirl has these incredibly sparkling eyes and a smile that goes from ear to ear. And she also has this deep and sultry voice. And she says to me, it's not what you think it is. And I paused. But do you know what it means? The actual meaning is a group of people, a tribe, a community that are moving from place to place without a home to find new pastures so they can survive. But she said, that's not what it means. And she paused. I leaned in, and she says, it's the movement of the mind. The movement of the mind, the movement of the mind, the movement of the mind, which is the head, the heart, and the gut when you talk about neuroscience. Just imagine the movement of the mind, and that is the movement through your whole body of this nomad moving through, coming up with ideas and all sorts of thoughts and creativity, just like you see in these sculptures, for example. What is the nomadic mindset? You may ask yourself. The nomadic mindset is an agile mindset. It's a mindset that is flexible, adaptable. It is finding new strategies, new paths to find and discover. It is about not staying still, but it's still enough. It is about finding new ways forward. And this is a mindset. So for you as a speaker, in many ways, let's back ourselves up again from the very beginning of the pass, is that I asked you to look for something new in your speech. And also I asked you to think about the unknown and the unobvious, which is looking for what doesn't fit in the picture. And I also talked about the nomad, the movement of the mind. So this mindset is what drives you as a speaker to become better and better and better, so that you're able to move on to something new, fresh. The other point about this of the nomadic mindset, is when I was in Kenya, I met a fellow by the name of Benson Montere. He was a warrior, a Kenyan Maasai warrior. And I asked him something, and he said about their people, he said, we are migrating. Where we were is not where we are evolving. Are you evolving as a speaker? He said, when they go to kill a lion as a development of their being, the passage, the rites of passage, what does this mean? He says you need 6 elements, 6 behaviors. And those 6 behaviors are being still. As a speaker, we need to be still enough so that we are allowed to feel this movement inside of ourselves, so that we're able to find new ideas, new thoughts. We need to be alert enough to be ready to jump to a new opportunity, to jump to a new possibility, to jump when something is happening. We need to observe. And they are able to observe 360 degrees, looking for seeds of opportunities, seeds of ideas, just like Frederick did with me. What is the seed of this nomad? And that's what came out of what I'm speaking about today. It is about the intuition. The intuition is so important, to be able to look and believe and trust your intuition, that you as a speaker are doing the best you can do. Are you moving on to another subject? Are you moving on to a new client? Are you moving on to new audiences? How does it feel? And the last one is, like these ears, is to listen. Listen, listen. Listen to the poetry of your speaking. Listen to everything, internally, externally. This will help you to move on to be better creators, better poets, better speakers, better craftspeople. All of those things can help you to move on. Now, I'd just like to summarize a little bit about what we've done today and what I've spoken about. This is about moving on and helping you to move on. So I'm going to move a little bit because we're always moving. But I first started to talk about one thing, and that was the first, which was about stretching. We need to stretch ourselves. We need to stretch ourselves to find out something new in our performance. That's stretching and being intentional and conscious at the same time. Then I talked about the next path, and that next path was to look for what doesn't fit in the picture. So look for the unknown, the unobvious, the uncomfortable, and then you will start growing. And so will your audience. The third is the movement of the mind, as being constantly in the sense and feeling of this movement, just like poets, movement inside of themselves, inside of yourself. So what I like to share with you, those are the three paths that I would like you to think about. But remember the last 6 behaviors: stillness, alertness, observation, curiosity, always curious, intuition, and listening. Just like these beautiful ears. Finding these beautiful ears and what comes inside of you and outside of you. I want to thank you very much. Merci beaucoup pour ça and the invitation to speak today. And now, something inside of me says it's time to move on. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and certainly enjoy your lunch, which comes up. Bye-bye. Take care.